Hey everyone, it's Journeys here. Looking at day 2 of some tactics. I almost actually forgot to do my tactics today. I've been so busy with work and everything. But yeah, day 2 is important. We're at 1,005 right now. Made a couple of mistakes, which is, I guess it's okay. Because right now we're just trying to improve by getting things correct, and then eventually um, we'll get to a point where we'll just see that we'll be able to know what to look for in a tactic and be able to solve it instantly. So just a lot of repetitive tactics. We're at 1,000 right now. I think we started at 400, or I started at 400 yesterday, so we're gonna go for 1,500 today. And looks like we did 43 and failed 4, so this time we're gonna try and go for perfect. Again, pretty tough, so let's see what happens. Okay. Well, seems like a free rook to me. Okay. Good start, good start. We got the first one unlike the last time. Oh, this is mate. Because we got the bishop on g2, so easy peasy. Why can't... I'm assuming there's a mate here. Okay, for some odd reason, I'm having a hard time seeing this. Queen d3, rook d4. I can't play queen c4. Oh, I get it. And then c4. And that's the mate. Wow, see? That was 1389. It was a bit tricky, but again, don't feel bad if you take too long, as long as you solve it. So, again, we're all learning. Ooh, this looks... This looks like one of those tactics where you use the knight to capture these key squares. And again, this particular tactic is really good because noticing the weaknesses on f6 and g7, it'll allow you to kind of be imaginative when you're playing a game, and you'll kind of ask yourself, how can I get that on my opponent? Because if you see these weaknesses in your opponent and you're playing a tournament game, then you have definitely good targets to go after in chess, and nothing feels better than a good target to go for. Oh, this looks pretty advanced. Okay, I'm gonna take a swing at this. Oh, so I didn't fall for it. Okay, then I can take the queen. Alright, so this is what this tactic was trying to do. Knight to f6, pawn takes. Yeah, so, okay. Actually, no, that probably wouldn't have worked. So, knight to f6, g takes, queen g3, king to h8, f6. If the rook goes to g7, white could play rook to e8. And then if the bishop goes to b7, queen goes to g7, and it's mate because the rook on g8 is pinned to the king, so it's not going to be able to take the queen. Isn't that ingenious? And if the rook goes to e8 and the rook takes the black rook takes the white rook, then the queen goes to g7 mates. So again, if it's hard to picture, can we go back to it? Yeah, so knight over to f6. If the pawn takes, then the queen checks here on g3, and then when the king moves to h7, then you go f6, and then it's force mate. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But unfortunately, because it's a lower rated tactic, it's not going to do that sequence, which I'm sure when we get to like round 18, 19, 2000s, that tactic will come back. But that was pretty good. Definitely the best tactic I've seen today. Okay, well that's simple. And as much as we love to take the rook, we can't because the queen's protecting, so we'll just take the free knight. Okay, rook's being threatened. However, so this is kind of, there's a couple ways we can do this, or a couple ways to look at this. Now, your pieces, remember I talked a little bit about yesterday about threats, and you always want to look at the three different type of threats to your position and their position. King safety threats, piece threat, and threats to position. Well, here we have a threat to the rook, which is a very strong piece, and normally you would want to defend it. However, but can you cause further threat? Well, can we attack the king? We can play queen h4, but then after g3, the queen's not going to do anything. So can we cause a worse threat? Well, we can, because the queen, the white queen's a bit vulnerable on d3, and I think c4 works. Yes, and now we can play the knight here. And this is good because we get a free piece, and if white takes, oh, see there's a little bit of a pin, so force move, you gotta play e7. And then after you capture back, you're up a whole bishop, so definitely worth it. Okay, it's one of these tactics. Well, if I take the rook on e1, black can just play bishop xc6 with the check. So that doesn't work. But what we can do is we can still get pieces. So rook to g7. Oh, it doesn't take. Well, in that case, yeah, this is the best situation. Oh no, I got Iran. Take there. Oh. Okay, let's try that again. I hate one of these tactics where it looks so obvious, but it really isn't. So rook c7 is not good. Why is that? Maybe because there's a mating net here. Oh, because after bishop f3, there's nothing stopping. But then, what isn't it just a draw though? What am I missing? I'm confused. So I'm going to confirm that's not the right move. The pass rate here is 2.1%. So a lot of people got this wrong. This can't be right. Yeah, so what could that be? Okay, we got stumped, boys and girls. So let's think. Oh, maybe it's like you check again. No. Oh, I get it. So if you keep checking back and forth, Yeah, that's why. Because then once they capture the king, then you can move your rook out of the way. And then you take the rook on e1, so there's no more mating net. And then you're actually up 3 pawns, which is actually, that's still probably drawable with a light bishop. But I see what the pattern is. So that's a bit tougher. So again, this is good to be exposed to this type of level of tactics. It doesn't matter of the rating. Like if I would be starting tactics every day and doing training to get better, don't worry about the rating. You just want to be able to solve. The ultimate goal again is to just be able to do tactics at a really high level, really fast. Okay, well you can see here the bishop is can't really move, so good move. We're at 1100, so we're about 1/5 there. Okay, that was pretty simple. Well, as much as you really would like to pin, I think this pin's much more efficient. And you can take. And then if they take back with either a rook, you can play knight xh4 to fork and win the game. Oh, this is a good one. Yeah, force the knight. Good stuff. So as you can tell, they're getting a little bit tougher. Oh, okay. So we got a problem here with can't take the knight because then you're exposing your rook to a fork with the king check. I'm not sure which one is the. Oh, I think so. I think you just play a3. Yeah. Now the queen's out of the way. Now you can pick up the knight. So again, at the level I want to be able to do that tactic, I would look at the board and be able to instantly just play it. Queen. Oh, doesn't this work? No, because if the king captures, then I can't checkmate. So I have to capture the queen, and then I capture here. And then after either way, I can play queen to d7, and the king can go here, but then I can play queen to d4, and then the king's mated because it can't move anywhere. So I wish this tactic can go a little bit longer, but when we get to the higher levels, it's be easier. Okay, well this is pretty stuff. Oh, gotta go this way. Yeah, I almost went this way, but then the knight would have taken the bishop, and then it would have protected the queen. So, free queen. Oh, this was pretty good. So this is the winning move. And now it's threatening mate. So the threat now is to take the knight on f1, and then after king captures, rook to d1, and that threats the mate. And there's no way white can stop that. So, pretty good. Oh, very simple pattern. Again, when you see a king on g7 and you see this type of configuration, it's very vulnerable to the dark squares. And then if you can get a queen this way, it's an instant mate. So far, we're doing good. We only had, I think, one run. I see a lot of green chat marks. Let's keep it going. Well, this is an easy mate. Okay, so if I take with the rook, yeah, it's still mate regardless. Well, now it's even more mate, but because if the knight blocks on f4, then you can just still checkmate on f2 because the rook is no longer here because it's been taken. The white rook that was protecting that square originally. Oh, this is a very classic pattern. Oh wait. Yeah, so I gotta play rook to g8 because if I don't do that, the rook can still stop the pawn that goes to h8. But now I pick up the piece, and now it's game over. Very easy to solve. Very classic. Um, well, I would like to play queen to e4, but I'm assuming it wants me to play. Oh yeah, I have to play queen e4 because okay, so I can't take the bishop because if I take the bishop, it can capture the knight, and it's just a bad exchange. If I take the knight, then I lose my queen. So I have to play queen e4. So again, this is another type of deflection because you're threatening a piece, but you're also threatening something even stronger, which is a mate. So the black king or your opponent has to protect against the mate, and therefore you can pick up a piece as a result, which we just did. And now this is a winning position. Good tactic. Okay, so see the bishop's very vulnerable. This is a perfect time to stack a couple of rooks. And now rook b4, which is not bad. But how do we punish? Well, the queen can't assist on attacking the bishop, but the knight can. So now we just overload the bishop, and again, the bishop can't move because there's a solid pin to capture the rook. And this game's over. White goes to g5 with the queen. Oh, this is another sign of deflection because if you notice, the queen is being protected by the rook. But if you can get the rook to move away from protecting the queen, then you can capture the queen. So the best way to do that is through checking. And then you can pick up the queen. See? Nice green check marks. Castling. Oh, this is another tactic. Taking the bishop, and you can't capture because then the rook's going to hang. Oh, but if they do, then you just take the rook. All right, let's speed it up. Let's get to 1500. Oh, we have to be careful. So this is an example of you have to dodge the checks with the queen, or else it's just going to be repetitive checks and the game's over. So in this situation, if you go anywhere on the 8th row, the queen's going to check. If you go on the light square on e6, then the queen can check 3 ways. Yeah, so queen e4, queen g8, or queen h3. So this is the only square the white queen cannot take, or it cannot check you. So there, they sacked, sure, why not? But once the king gets away to safe square without a check, then the black can take over and win the game easily in that position. Okay. Well, this looks like a simple pattern to me. Queen to d2. And do I capture with the rook or the queen? I'm assuming the queen. And then here. Alright, good mate. 1362. We're getting there. Okay, f4. So, again, just by the fact that I'm looking at the board right now, and there's so much going on, and I'm not exactly sure what to look for. The first thing I notice right now is the bishop move, but again, it's kind of like where I'm thinking at the position where, in fact, I don't want to think, I just want to see and know what the best move is. So it took me a good 6 seconds before I realized, hey, the queen can't really move anywhere. Therefore, this bishop looks like it can do a lot of damage, which it does. Okay. That's a nice aggressive move. Fortunately, I don't think the queen can go anywhere after this. Yeah. So it's a nice little pattern. Sometimes on b7 it's called the poison pawn, or if black's taking the pawn on b2, it could be a poison pawn. So always better to double check. Make sure you're playing good. Oh, the king's in check. That's funny. Completely forgot. Oh, so we have to be a little careful. Because right now on rook on f7 is hanging. So I think we have to block with the bishop. Yeah. Oh, no, we're wrong. Oh, it's good to be wrong. Oh, so this was a stronger range. So, okay, let's think this out for a second. Oh, no, we're still fine. Because I just got to move my king away. Because after the rook's takes, I have a bishop discovery check to get the rook back. Or not. Oh, yeah, see the fork? Between rook a8 and the king that's eventually going to go to f7. There we go. So I think we're going to get to a little bit harder tactics now. So definitely no more being a little bit quicker than normal. It's time to really figure out each and every unique tactic here. What is the best move here? G3 looks good. All right, pick up a free piece. All right, let's get to that 1500. Good stuff. So this is a cool tactic. You play knight c1 to block the rook from protecting the back row so you can throw in a queen mate. And then after queen b4, you can now just pick up the knight for free. Very nice. As much as I want to play e2, I think bishop d5 is just much more effective. Yeah. And mate. I forgot to include that. Okay, it's another endgame situation. So in this situation, you got a really advanced pawn. It's your only hope. So you eventually do want to get that to queen. You do have to keep in mind that rook, the black's going to try and keep checking your king as soon as your king gets out of this C column. So gotta make sure you're playing this correctly. I think C7 is probably the move. Oh, so it doesn't even continue going on, but eventually what will happen is you'll take your rook. If the king goes to anywhere on the e file, you just take your rook, and then you can kind of use it as a shield to protect your king. And there's ways to do it, and it's faster than black sending one of its black pawns to queen on its own. Again, we'll see those tactics later on when we get to like maybe the 18 above. Oh, this is a nice one. So the goal is to trap the queen. Good stuff. Okay, well, this is a very dangerous threat. Queen infiltrates, the game is over. So how do we stop this? Oh, gotta trade the queens. So again, this is a very good tactic because it's like a defensive tactic. It's not winning; it's about how to stop your opponent from winning the game. So you gotta realize when to, and your position's much superior because now you're gonna take the pawn on d3 because and if the rook's too passive, it can't defend f2 and d3. So if you can see a situation where if you take away the queens, let's just say we took away all the pieces. Well, it's a bit tougher to see who would win, um, even though black has the majority of pawns. But if you leave the rooks on the board right now, then you know instantly that black's going to win because there's too many vulnerabilities of white's position. So if the queens are involved, it's going to delay black from taking these very vulnerable pawns. So better to trade the queens off. So even if the queen wasn't threatening like any type of e6, e7, or e8 type of checks on the black king, which would have definitely led to mate eventually. Um, you definitely want to consider getting rid of the queen to simplify the position. But at the same time, if you're attacking your opponent and let's say you're winning slowly, but it's not guaranteed, and you see a lot of vulnerabilities on your opponent's side, don't trade queens. Keep putting pressure. Pressure is the best thing you can do in chess. And we'll talk about pressure in another video. Okay, 1485, so we're almost there. I don't think the queen could go anywhere if I play bishop c2. Good stuff. Oh no. You really want me to take the queen? Really? Oh, okay. So it's going for the simple win. Again, the bishop's here. This is a easy win. White will go and pick up the f pawn, and then that's all he said he wrote. All game is done from there. So definitely lost some points. Let's keep going. Oh, this is a nice tactic. So deflecting the queen from this very key square on c6, because if the queen moves away from it, you can checkmate. But again, since black's committed, so just pick up the piece. That's a good one. 1492. Oh no, I rushed that. Don't rush your tactics, Matt. Nope. Oh, this is not good. Okay, now I'm definitely rushing. That was my first initial instinct, but no, it's not it either. So is it? Do you want to force a queen trade? No, because then there's no way to get through. So what am I missing? Oh, bishop f5. And then there's two ways to mate. There's the mate on h3 and the mate on g4, and then white can't stop both of them with the queen. See, again, a little bit of a higher rate tactic, and I still miss it. So, again, I'm rushing, and we should not rush in tactics because we told ourselves not to do it. Don't forget about the time. Just play accurate. Mm. There we go. Okay, we're almost there at 1500. Okay, well, you see the vulnerability at f7 because there's no more rook guarding it. So if you can overwhelm it a little bit. And I should have taken it with the rook. Yeah, that's my fault. Because I'm threatening b7. So again, I rushed. And that cost me another tactic. So I got to get better. Oh. Oh, simple tactic. I was looking at the king check, when in fact it's a free knight because the queen's pinned. So again, another classic not looking in the right spot and not looking for the better move. So rook c8. Why can't I queen? Let's say I queen to and then bishop. That doesn't do anything. Rook here. Oh, classic. So if I go here, he checks me on f8, and then I have to move my king to g6, and then therefore they can play queen g8 and pin my queen to the, and basically skewer me. So I have to play king f7, and then I have to move this way, and that's how you save the position. Okay, it's 1498. We're a little bit tired, so let's get this done. The tactics are getting harder, so gotta think a little bit more clear. Well, my first instinct is play to rook x a6, but then after queen takes b5. It still might be the best move, actually. It's probably the best move. But then the bishop's hanging too. So again, I love the thing about taxes is that it makes you focus on the area that matters most. So if I take the knight, queen takes, doesn't really do anything. Oh, see there, I missed it. Knight to d4 threats the queen and a knight, so it's much more efficient and it's faster. Okay, we're at 1507. I think that's about it for today. Definitely had tougher tactics, which is to be expected. And again, I play around like a 2000 yellow level, so these tactics, while they should be very easy for me, it goes to show that even I have a lot of work to do in improving and thinking correctly. I hope this gives you a little bit more, a little motivation to maybe take the challenge like I am and go 60 days of doing tactics. I guarantee you, if you do at least 30 days straight of 15 to 30 minutes of tactics, you will improve. And I just hope that watching these videos and hopefully seeing my improvement will bring some little inspiration to helping your game of chess get better. If you enjoy this video, again, please comment, like, subscribe. You'll be seeing these for the next 30, 60 days. Again, watching me get to my goal, which I know I will. Just got to be consistent about it. If you have any suggestions, again, feel free to also watch the other videos on the channel. I'm going to be talking a lot about different types of content, different things about positions, game theory, some of my experiences in tournaments, even games that I've played. I know there's a tournament that I played recently where I played a lot of FMs and NMs and had some very interesting results, which I'd love to share about. So again, stay tuned. You'll see a video every day for sure. All right, have a good night.